My name is Victoria Pendred, and my presentation is about food chains and food webs. Before we begin talking specifically about food chains and food webs, there are a few terms that are important in fully understanding both food chains and webs. First is a producer. A producer is something that can make its own food. Usually these types of beings are plants who can make sugar from water, sunlight, and carbon dioxide in a process called photosynthesis. The example producer given on this slide is a strawberry plant. Next is a consumer. A consumer is something that eats something else to get energy. These could be any type of animal, including all plant eaters and meat eaters. Keep in mind that animals that eat plants are also eating something else for energy. It's not just the meat eaters. The example consumer given on this slide is a chicken who looks as if she is about to eat a strawberry. Now that we understand what a producer and a consumer are, we are able to discuss a food chain. A food chain is a series of food transfers from producers to consumers. As shown by the example on the slide, food chains are basically illustrating what a consumer eats. A food chain could have two steps, like the example, where the chicken eats a strawberry, or you could also extend it and have a fox eating a chicken who eats a strawberry. An important point to bring up, though, is that the arrow always points to who is doing the eating. This shows the flow of energy. So say the arrow was reversed on this example. That would mean that the strawberry ate the chicken, and we all know that that would be silly and could only happen if the strawberry was a mutant strawberry monster. Thankfully, we don't have too many of those around. Before we talk about a food web, there's one more term we should discuss that is important to fully understanding a food web. This term is a decomposer. Decomposer is something that gets its energy from eating dead things. Although it sounds gross, this is an important part of the world we live in. These types of beings are either microscopic organisms or fungi. The example decomposer given on this slide is a mushroom. Now that we understand what producers, consumers, and decomposers are, and we understand how to read a food chain, we are ready to discuss food webs. A food web is a combination of food chains to illustrate the connections between plants and animals. This allows us to see just how interconnected the communities around us are. Unlike a food chain, where we see the energy flow between one animal and the things that it eats, a food web shows many different animals and the things that they eat. As you can see, food webs look a lot more busy and complicated. In this example, I have color-coded the arrows for you to see what each organism eats. Like the food chain, we still point the arrow to the animal that is doing the eating. Let's look at the simplistic consumer we have on this food chain. The grasshopper only eats the strawberry plant, which we can see with the green arrow. However, the chicken eats a grasshopper and the strawberry, which we can see with the red arrows. If you look at the fox, though, we can see that it eats the strawberry, the grasshopper, and the chicken. But when we consider the mushroom, keep in mind that it's a decomposer, so it only eats dead things. Even though it is illustrated to eat the fox, the chicken, the grasshopper, and the strawberry, it only eats them after they die. The importance of food webs is to show the interconnectedness of a community. When looking at the example, we can see just that.